All right, Dr. Santa Cruz, Rebecca, apologize for that.
Thank you, Mr. Castano. For our viewers, we'd like to apologize for that technical issue. We know that this is an important topic for you. I'll let Dr. McCord pick up from where he left off. And the question was related to the logistics of getting students in and out and parents being available to view that event. So do you want to take it from there, Dr. McCord?
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. I will. Ms. Wood asked, why can't parents, the questions have been asked of us, why can't we watch our student walk across the stage? And what I iterated was the fact that they won't actually get to see anything in particular other than their child walking across the stage. There will not be a person on the stage physically handing them a diploma. As Ms. Taylor explained earlier, that will be a hologram projected from another room. All of this is based around the social distancing premise as well as keeping people safe. When students exit the vehicle, and we'll have a group of them, they'll be social distance at least 6 feet away in a line going through the auditorium and across the stage. Once they've virtually accepted their diploma, they will go to a room adjacent to the auditorium. They will take a picture with a professional photographer, then they will exit back to their vehicles. Those vehicles won't be parked in parking spaces. They will all be in a line, probably 2 lines, out in the parking lot at Mesquite Junior. They will enter their car and then exit the facility as we take the next group. Ms. Taylor, how long do we project again from the car back to the car for a student to get through there? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. When we walked it, it was 2 minutes from car to car, but with the added just pauses and delay and kind of waiting, we estimate 5 minutes total from car to car. They'll stop at a sanitation, if we can get the video to work, they'll stop at a sanitation table and they will have the opportunity to stand in front of a mirror, adjust their cap before they walk in, just like they would before they left, the backstage rooms in our regular graduations. And then weave through the auditorium, up the stage, like Dr. McCord said, back out towards the parking lot, but stopping in a room to get that photo taken with their diploma cover, and then back to the car. So 5 minutes is what we're estimating if we can keep the flow kind of going, which is also part of the reason for only having the senior student get out of the vehicle and back in. We have schools that have 800 and some graduates, so continuing to be able to film this and do it in a timely manner, the more people that are involved, obviously the longer it would take as well.
I have 2 questions. How will the student receive their diploma cover? Oh, can you hear me? Okay. How will the student receive their diploma cover? And also the second question, will there need to be someone who remains in the vehicle so the vehicle travels while they're gone in the line?
Okay, I'll start with the last question. The vehicle will not travel while they're gone. So if the student is alone, they will put it in park, lock it, whatever they would normally exit, it'll stay right there. But those, let's say 15 students would be all getting out from that one line at the same time. And obviously then the first person would exit, would go on stage first, get back in their vehicle, drive away, second, third. So that whole line has then exited before the next line pulls in. But there's a secondary line, like Dr. McCord mentioned, behind them, that those students would then be released out of their vehicle and go in, so that it just continues that flow going into the auditorium and back to the vehicles. That's why they wouldn't be actually parked in the parking lot. As far as how students will receive their diploma, they're going to receive, most of our schools have their diploma covers already at their sites. So the student, most of them would receive it that day. There are a couple schools that the shipping is backed up. They're in a warehouse in Kentucky or somewhere. So there's a couple schools where we would have to have a different date for them to get their actual diploma cover. But all of the students would have their diplomas, their actual diplomas and the program mailed to them after the graduation date. So we're going to wait for all grades to post, and then we are printing actual programs like we would typically do at a regular graduation, so that those students would have that as a memory with their names all listed, with the, you know, GPA designations in there, ValSal's designations in there, with everybody listed and so forth. So they will receive that in the mail with their actual diploma.
Okay, and my one more question, just follow up on the diploma cover. Is there someone from the company that will stock those where the students pick them up?
Yes, and the company has insured us, and you'll see in the video, if we can get that going, that they will all be wearing masks and gloves and all of those things that are the requirements right now. They have considered and kind of thought through all of that. So it's been pretty impressive working with this company. They're really on their game.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Dr. Santa Cruz.
Go right ahead, Mr. Jetty.
Dr. McCord, when the question that I asked you when this first kind of went down, I think probably was not heard by everybody, but the question I asked was about how this company was able to pull this off and if we were the only ones. Do you mind answering that again, just in case it wasn't heard?
You bet. Thank you again for that question. This company works, their primary source of income, I guess the best way to put it, is they work several events. They work for Fortune 500 companies, Microsoft, Intel, a lot of the big name companies. This is that company who was part of, and I'll say this, you may or may not understand what I'm saying or remember it, but years ago when they did a hologram concert of Tupac, who's now passed away, but they were part of that. And at that time, that was some very big, innovative ways to do a concert. And so, flash forward to now, one of the employees at the company was just kind of lamenting about how his kid won't be able to have a graduation just like everybody else because of COVID-19. And they started brainstorming on how could we give a student and families the very best opportunity virtually to experience graduation while still adhering to CDC guidelines of social distancing and keeping health and safety at the forefront. And so they developed this, and that's how we're sitting here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Questions, board members, or are we ready to view the video? Mrs. Taylor, go ahead.
Okay, we'll try it again with John. He's running the video because I think there were some settings in order for everybody to hear it. He had to do some special magic to get it to go. So hopefully it'll work this time. The first demo video is kind of the explanation of the technology involved and the social distancing plan that the company presented to us. And the first one's a little bit longer. And as I introduced before, I don't know if that was on the live stream or not, but they set this particular video from their warehouse in Phoenix. So they have come up with the plan specific to Mesquite Junior High location so that all of our students did not have to drive all the way to Phoenix. So that is where you will see, and he'll explain kind of those things in this one. And then the second video is a little bit shorter, and it shows from the viewer's perspective of what we would see as a final product. Again, it's not using our kids, but it's using their employees to show the best they can, since they don't have a sample video from an actual graduation. They created these just so we could use them to try to explain some of these technological wonders that they're planning to do. So go ahead, John.
Okay, we're going to give this a try again.
Hi there, welcome to our demo. My name is Jay Kohler. I am the managing partner and CEO of VX3 and Solid State Designs in Phoenix, Arizona. We know that these times have been especially difficult for our graduating class of 2020, and we have come up with a product that we believe is the solution to allow your graduates to still get the satisfaction of walking and graduating while practicing social distancing, keeping everybody safe, and having a unique experience that people remember for a long time. What you're going to see here is a product that we've developed in-house that uses holographic technology, LED screens, high-end broadcast cameras, and a lot of ingenuity to get what you're about ready to see. So let's go ahead and take a look. What you're seeing here is a soundstage that we built in our 27,000 square foot warehouse. This soundstage is actually fully functional, and we're able to hold the graduation here, and I'll get into the logistics a little bit later on how that happens. But it's important to know that this product is mobile, it's scalable, and it's repeatable. So we could do this all over the valley, all over the country if we need to, and be able to reproduce the same product as long as we have enough stage for the students to walk across and complete control over the ambient lighting. So what you're looking at is obviously a stage, and behind me is an LED wall that shows any digital backdrop we want. This can be a backdrop of your auditorium. This could be simply a curtain. It could be maybe just the logos of your school. It doesn't really matter what it is. We could change it up, and we could change it up instantaneously, and we could even change it through the program if we wanted to. Let me show you the important part, though. I'm going to bring in Mark, who's playing the role of our dean or principal in our isolation studio. So now what you're looking at is me still on stage by myself, but I've got Mark in our isolation studio who can see me, who can actually talk to me, interact with me, and it looks like he's right here on stage. This is our in-house built hologram technology. Hey, Mark, how's it going in the isolation studio?
It's going good, Jake.
What you doing over there?
Staying healthy and staying isolated.
Awesome. So as you can see, it looks just like he's on stage with me. We're even able to interact. I could even come up and give him a little social distancing elbow bump if I wanted to. So this is what it looks like, and this is what your people will see on the other side of the broadcast. Now, this could be recorded and sent out. It could be live broadcast. It could be edited into sections and pushed out. The possibilities are pretty much endless, and all of that happens in-house here with one solution. You don't have to go out and try to figure all the IT stuff out. We've already got that handled for you. So let me show you how it works a little bit behind the scenes. We can't have an in-person graduation because of social distancing and health concerns. We have developed a system to make sure we have the absolute minimum amount of crew required to run this. All of our crew is required to follow certain sanitation protocols before they enter the building, and utilizing stuff like robotic camera control and IP and IT-based technologies. All of our techs are spread out throughout the building, never having to have physical contact with anybody or each other once the show is underway. I'm going to take you into our isolation studio to show you where our colleague Mark was earlier on in the video. So here I am in the isolation studio, and I'm going to actually invite onto the stage the very, very first graduate of a virtual holographic graduation, Ike Towers. Ike, congratulations on a great year. Come and get your virtual diploma. Congratulations, Ike. What do you think?
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here, able to graduate, and I'm excited that my family all over the country will be able to see me.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Ike. Next, I'm going to take you outside to show you how we're going to manage the people and how we're going to actually get them in and out of the building. Here we are outside of our warehouse in our parking lot. I want to show you some of the logistics on how we're going to handle people and handle the flow of traffic to make sure nobody ever has to have any physical contact. In our case, we've got a couple large lots that we could stage people in, and we would have radio communication with the people directing traffic. As you can see over here, we've got some cones set up with our vehicles, and they're more than 15 feet apart, and everybody would remain in their vehicles until we're ready to stage them and bring them in. We'll bring them in 3 people at a time, but not 3 people at a time where they're going to be close together. For example, I would be the 3rd person standing out here, and the 2nd person is actually going to be inside at our sanitizing station, and I'll show that to you now. Our 2nd staging position is just inside the door at our sanitation station. Here, students could sanitize, and we could make sure that the area remains sterile for everybody coming in. Even though they have no interaction with any people or any objects, we want to make sure we're taking every precaution necessary to keep people safe. Once they're done here, their name will be called, and they'll be able to walk the stage. I'll take you over there now. And here's the 1st staging position. This is where the student will be when they're waiting for their name to be called. It's about 30 feet from our sanitation station, and there will be dividers, so when one student is coming up and the other is going down, they never have any contact, and there's an actual physical separator. So when they walk up, they take their diploma, and as you can see here, you can see the monitor in the background. That's where they'll be able to see the dean or the principal, whoever is actually giving them the diploma, and interact, and they'll be able to see the hologram in front of them as well. Once they receive that, they simply walk off stage, and they actually walk out of another entrance in our building, get back in their cars, and depart, and their graduation is done. Thank you for watching our demo. We think we got a great solution and a great product to bring some normalcy to a horrible situation that was dealt to us, and give the graduating class of 2020 not only something that they're going to be able to take with them, we hope that it's something that will be very, very unique to them. Mark, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your help. How about one more elbow bump just for fun? Yeah, there you go. Again, thank you so much. Our contact info will be on the bottom of the screen. Give us a call at any time. Looking forward to talking to you. And just a reminder, this is completely scalable, and what you saw is just a model. We could take this and adapt it to almost any situation, not only just here in Arizona, but around the country. Thanks a lot.
So that was more of the technology and social distancing plan. That this video will show you more of a graduation tour perspective. And again, this is the one that they created specifically for us so that we had a better gauge of what the end product might look like.
Hello and welcome back. You saw our demonstration on how we're going to do a virtual graduation using holographic technology. We had a couple of requests to see what the final product would look like for the viewers at home. So we went ahead and set up the studio again, and we're going to show you that now. What you're going to see is you're going to see the actual walking part of graduation, the main part, students walking across stage in real time, and then you're going to see the same sequence with all the holes cut out and the final touches like lower thirds added in, so you could actually experience what the at-home viewer will see. With that, let's just go ahead and get started and invite our first graduate up on stage, Ike Towers. Ike, congratulations on a great year.
Thank you very much.
Our next graduate is Paul Breen. Paul, congratulations, 4.0 grade point average. Great job.
Thank you.
Next is our valedictorian, Ergon Schmitz. Congratulations, Ergon.
Thank you. I knew I could do it.
And our final graduate is Ike Towers' twin brother, Mike Towers. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
And that's pretty much how the sequence would go. Now you're going to see it in the actual timing with all the holes cut out, final touches put on it, and this is exactly what the viewers at home will see. Ike Towers. Ike, congratulations on a great year.
Thank you very much.
Our next graduate is Paul Breen. Paul, congratulations, 4.0 grade point average. Great job.
Thank you.
Next is our valedictorian, Ergon Schmitz.
Thank you. I knew I could do it.
And our final graduate is Ike Towers' twin brother, Mike Towers. Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We hope this gives you a little bit better feeling on what the viewer will see at home for the final product. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at any time.
All right. So hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea. We will have this presentation posted on our website as well, so that if there are families that are wanting to take a look at that aren't watching right now, they are absolutely welcome to access those videos and get a little better idea of what we were talking about with the technology. And this gives you kind of a general idea of what items we are including in all 7 of our graduations. So you can see that the musical inserts, the salutatorian address, valedictorian, principal's address, the acceptance of the graduates by the governing board, closing speakers, specific music selections from each school will be provided that this company will be dropping into the final production. As far as pomp and circumstance and the introduction, and then like we showed you with the specific schools, press and logos and the photos that we have attached in this video. So it's as close to an actual, the end product will be as close to an actual graduation ceremony as we can possibly make it at this point. Again, this program order in the actual school brochure will be mailed to the students along with their diploma, so that they have that to remember and parents can look at it and use that for reviewing later on as well. I think the last slide just shows kind of our timeline as far as when we sent out our district and school communication, the board meeting, and then the timeline for filming all of our schools, students at our seniors at Mesquite Junior High. The goal right now of doing a live stream on May 21st for all of our schools at 7 p.m. We will confirm that. We have to set up some separate YouTube channels for each of our high schools and make sure that the VX3 is able to project all of those live streamed at the same time. So if anything, it'll be some time around there, and we will make sure that everybody's aware of that. We may have to stagger the time frames, but again, around that date of May 21st is the goal. Right, that takes care of our program, unless anybody has any additional questions after seeing the videos or anything else.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I do.
Go ahead, Ms. Eugenia.
Ms. Taylor or Dr. McCord, as of May 5th at 7:58 p.m., which is what time it is right now, what exactly were your guidelines based on what the governor gave us, so that the parents can know that what we were having to deal with in terms of trying to make this decision?
Are you talking about social distancing guidelines?
Basically all of them. I mean, yeah, I mean, I know I'm asking you a lot, but social distancing and how many people can be involved and why we had to come to this point.
We are recognizing what the CDC, obviously they've relaxed those guidelines a bit for, reopening America, I guess is the best way to put it. So they'll be able to do certain things in restaurants where they can have a limited number of people that can be in there. For us, we're gonna adhere to the social distancing guidelines in terms of being 6 feet apart, making sure sanitation is correct, and again, having those individuals in and out of that auditorium as quickly as possible. To make sure the safety is adhered to, 2, to make sure that the line's flowing extremely well. so we can get all of our graduates. We have, 850 schools with 850 students all the way down to 75 students. And so we'll be making opportunity to adhere to those guidelines as we move through.
And just as part of that, though, also the number of people that can be involved. To my knowledge, as of right now, it's no more than 10 at a time. Am I correct in that?
I believe you are correct. And that is in one specific area. There might be other people in other rooms that aren't even in the same area as those folks, but that's what our goal is.
Right, and what the reason I'm asking this is that I know that there's a lot of things that have happened in the last few hours. I just want us to, I want our community to understand where you got to this point as of right now. That could change tomorrow morning or next week or whatever. But as of right now, what we had to deal with, what you had to deal with, what our district had to deal with is we were going by the guidelines that were given to us by the governor and the CDC. Am I correct in that?
You are correct.
Thank you.
Yes, large groups cannot congregate together, so we can't fill our stadiums right now, according to the CDC.
And it's my understanding that, even like with the Major League Baseball, they're thinking about going back like the 1st of July. But at this point right now, they're thinking that if they do, they're going to be not playing, or they're going to be playing for television revenue, not with people. I don't know, that could change tomorrow also.
Right.
But my point in this whole question is where we are right now at 8:01 on May 5th.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I have a question.
Ms. Humphries.
Thank you. Mrs. Taylor, the musical selections, are those going to be pre-recorded selections that the schools put into the video?
Yes, that's correct. They're using their own choir, their own, not to record right now, because obviously they can't get together in a group as well. But our auditorium managers do a nice job of recording all of these events, all of concerts. So they're selecting their favorite or best musical pieces. Some of them have selected pieces that would typically be performed during a baccalaureate celebration, at a graduation. And so it will be kind of nice because each school is able to select which groups, or they're using a recording of a concert that happened this school year with those particular students that are in the graduating class right now. So that would be also a nice option for our schools.
All right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course.
Dr. McCord, a side benefit, if there is one, I concur with your first statement, and that was nothing can replace the person-to-person large-scale graduations that we are famous for in this district. But one of the things that is a silver lining in this particular mode is the fact that first time ever, if there is a silver lining, a parent or parents and family members and their graduate can sit in their living room on the night that would have been graduation, and that's assuming all of our timelines are met, and watch the event together right there sitting next to their graduate. So while that is a benefit, it's a small consolation because those families will be together watching, listening, and participating in a virtual form in that event. So that's a positive, I suppose. And again, hoping that all of the timelines can be met so that in fact we can broadcast all of those graduations on the same evening. Is that an accurate assessment?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I can also think of another advantage you may remember a couple of years when you had to deal with a lot of rain, and we won't have to deal with that issue.
That's exactly true. And it was COVID-19, but it did get cold on one of those evenings. Dr. McCord, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. Kind of my last portion of my statement that I think is important that we discuss. And Chandler School District came out this afternoon saying that they were going to hold a graduation ceremony that is in person, and with the idea, and I'll pardon me, but I'll read through this so I don't mess it up. Students will be seated 6 feet apart on a field, and they may be wearing masks. The ceremony will be live streamed to allow all guests to see the graduates accept their diploma. They may be able to accommodate a limited audience. However, that decision will not be made until more information is available. And so this is something that I think we need to discuss because, as you know, in education and in the Valley, and we've heard it because there's been other school districts on the west side that will be attempting to do some face-to-face graduation type ceremony. I think more than likely adhering to the social distancing guidelines. Once that hit, of course, our emails filled up with suggestions and thoughts and wants from our community, our parents and our students. And I think it's imperative that as, you know, superintendent, members of the superintendency, as well as governing board, that we have this discussion. Is it something that we, as a school district, would be able to pull off? Well, I guarantee you we can do anything that we're able to do with the guidelines that are set in place. But we also have to be cautious. And so I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts and ideas related to this.
Well, Ms. Ugetti's points are well taken, and that is that all of the experiences that we are currently enduring are fluid, and they change from moment to moment, day to day, hour to hour. And so what we may say this evening may have to change tomorrow or the following day, but could be left open. There are lots of logistical pieces that need to be discussed and implemented, related to the supervision, related to the distancing, related to any variety of things. And those continue to concern me. The live streaming is no small task in 5, 6 different locations for any school district, let alone ours. And so those are the items that concern me, but I'm not opposed to leaving the option open.
Dr. Santa Cruz, may I ask?
Members, yes, go ahead.
Dr. McCord, I know you just talked a little bit about what Chandler sent out today, and I just want to clarify, as of what their information is that this would be a graduation that only the students would be attending, the parents, as of right now. I mean, like I said, it could change tomorrow, but that as of what they know right now, it would be just the students, correct?
As of right now, we're talking just students, with the possibility, of course, like you said, of being able to add a limited number of people in an audience, and I would believe they'd be social distance as well.
Well, my biggest frustration with this entire situation is just the unknown of, you know, us trying to make sure that we do the very best for our students. And, you know, I think that what you presented with the information that you had and that we had, that is amazing. Is it possible for us to do both?
You know what, I want to believe in this situation, anything's possible. Of course, I would still rely on what the guidance that would come from the governor's office. And if he's going to allow larger groups to assemble with, of course, still adhering to social distancing guidelines, yeah, this is something that would be a stretch for us. I mean, as you can see, putting the virtual piece together is a task. We had conversations with high school principals this afternoon, Ms. Taylor and to sum it up, they'll do whatever we ask them to do, and they'll do it with a smile on their face, and they'll do whatever they can for the kid. But being able to do something like this in the first or second week in June, in terms of just organizing, getting it done, yes, we would be able to do it. But again, I don't know what the circumstances will be statewide in terms of restrictions.
So if tomorrow, let's just say, you know, in that the governor comes out and says that everything's going to be okay and we can do whatever we want, how could we pull it off?
So first and foremost, we would go forward with our virtual, just because I think that is extremely important. And that is a known right now. That is something that we know that we can do. And if tomorrow the governor said, yeah, we can figure this out and we can move forward with graduations, I still want to move forward with the virtual for the mere fact that he may say that on Wednesday and then on Friday something happens and that gets changed again. Going back to my statement that I don't want to keep disappointing students, but we would be able to do it.
Thank you.
Board members? Go ahead.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chair.
if I can comment. Thank you.
Okay.
I think if I can put in my words, Dr. McCord, what I'm hearing and what I'm understanding from a lot of input from a lot of parents from a lot of different perspectives. One, we all want these seniors to have an experience. I've yet to talk to anybody that likes the fact that we've ended the school year and likes the fact that we're not able to bring these seniors together to celebrate. As a parent, many of us have personally experienced the effects of this. I don't have a child graduating from high school, but I've already missed a daughter's graduation from college whose commencement was canceled. It hurts. You know that your child hurts. They put a lot of work into this. I've had a son who had a wedding planned. That wedding plans were set aside and he did get married, but with 8 people instead of the planned party. We know as a board how much difficulty goes into these decisions and that it's personal because it's personal to our children whom we love. So to the parents and to the students, please know that whatever decision comes tonight, whether we continue the path, whether we modify it, whether we add something, we know how hard this is. So now we're looking at a question of certainty. If we proceed with the plan that the principals and superintendency has put in place for a virtual graduation, we have something that's certain. At least we can celebrate your accomplishments. It might not be how we want it to be. We know it's not how you want it to be. Then we can go the additional route of discussing whether we hold something in person in early June at some time. We recognize that whatever plans we put in place now are uncertain. We want to accommodate, and we would be doing that because we care and want the seniors to have that experience. But it's uncertain because we don't know what restrictions will be lifted. I will say up until today, 90% of the feedback that I was receiving from parents was, hey, we want our kids to be able to get together, but you're putting together a plan that's the best plan of any of our neighboring districts. In fact, I've talked with parents who were in Chandler School District that I know that were admitting that that they liked our plans better than Chandler's. Today, there was a switch that happened. One of our neighboring districts put out an email saying, hey, we're going to plan this. We know there's a lot of uncertainty. Many parents are taking it as if it's going to happen, but one, we don't know whether those restrictions are going to be lifted, how they're going to be. I know that that district, to their credit, is working with the governor's office and the health department to try and do it in a way that will be acceptable. But their own letter indicates a lot of uncertainty. I am supportive of trying to find ways that would enable our seniors to get together, if we can do that in a reasonable fashion. But we recognize that any plans we put in place are conditioned on those trigger points, as you mentioned, Dr. McCord, that would enable this to move forward. I am appreciative of the hard work that's gone in. Even during this board meeting, I've gotten texts and emails, some saying this is awesome and some saying this isn't what we want. The community split, and that's because we all want what's best for our children. So my concern would be if we move forward with a second optional ceremony that you suggested. And again, I'm in favor if we can pull it off, but my concern would be we have to do it soon enough to make it meaningful. There are suggestions that we could put out into August or even December. The reality is the further we go out, if we go out beyond a week or two, families start to leave, students leave. Some colleges are going to open, some colleges aren't. Some students are enrolled and will begin service in the military. Some students are going to serve missions, as was mentioned in Dr. Castille's letter. The more and more time that goes by, the smaller and smaller group that we're going to be able to get together. So my thought would be, if we go down that route, it's got to be sooner, the first half of June, than later, because we'll never gather everybody together.
Mr. Carr, I would agree with you on everything you just said. And I'd like to add that I think in the letter I sent to the community, this would be an optional. And I'm not just saying necessarily from a district's point of view, I'm talking from the individual's point of view. If there is a family that just says, you know what, the virtual is the way to go, I'm not interested in this. I still think as much as safeguards you put together, I still don't feel safe, and I don't want my child involved with that. That we completely understand that. And so I just wanted to add that piece into it, that this would not be mandated. This would be strictly optional for those that wanted to attend.
Other board members, Ms. Wood, would you like to weigh in?
Yes, please. Thanks, Dr. Santa Cruz. I guess going along with that last comment, Dr. McCord, it's interesting. We've received many emails both ways. There are some parents who've said, please keep the virtual, that for health reasons for myself or my children, that is the best way for us to celebrate graduation this year. And then there's others who've said, please let our kids get together, because there's nothing like seniors being able to get together and celebrate that together. So again, as we mentioned, we're trying to balance the many needs, and we're trying to balance the safety and health of our students with the huge desire that we have to celebrate our students and to give them something to remember, as this has been a kind of a disappointing end of this school year. Nothing that we would have chosen for them. I have a senior myself graduating, and it's and other high school students myself, and it's been a lot of loss and disappointment as you think about it. It's just like everyone mentioned, everyone's faced it in all their different walks of their life. So I think the virtual option, when it's going to come together, I think the final product is going to be something that families will enjoy and appreciate. I think obviously the filming of it is a bit underwhelming, and our students might feel that as they go in. But I think to be able to have your grandparents watching and have, be together as a family, and that graduation night have some element of closure in that kind of a way that we can guarantee, I'm excited about that. And then again, I'm with my other board members. If we can tentatively set a plan, is it, do we want to do an actual on the field graduation? Do we just want to do a celebration on the field where they get together and, do something? I don't know if we can find a plan of how they can also have that experience. I know that would be meaningful to many, many families and parents who might take advantage of that in early June. And I know that would be asking our principals, our teachers, and others to come back. I think many would, are happy to do. I know many teachers I've talked to who have said this has been the worst. They want to see, that's part of their happiness too, is to watch these students graduate, the students that they care about, and to celebrate with them that night. And it's taking it away from all of us. So I think the virtual, I'm really pleased with how it's going to turn out. And I hope that we will be able to go forward with that and support that. And then again, as this new idea has come about, just with the change yesterday with Governor Ducey opening a few things up, and all of a sudden there's maybe some leeway and some opportunity that we could maybe gather in a certain way. I would like us to continue to look at that and have a plan, see what we could put together that way.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Dr. McCord, do you have enough information? Is there any additional
Dr. Santa Cruz, I did want to say something.
Go ahead, Ms. Humphrey.
Sorry. Okay, first off, I really appreciate the hard work that's gone into the virtual graduation. Obviously, there's been a lot of thought and planning, and I think that is a good option to give everyone an opportunity to see their child graduate in a way that is more than we had hoped previously. I myself, I understand how sad parents are. I do have a daughter graduating from college. We won't be watching her walk across the stage. We will on Friday watch a slideshow, not a virtual graduation, but a slideshow. And it's a little sad, but we're trying to find some things to do. We won't be having family over. We won't be having friends over because of the concern about this virus. So I do understand, how disappointed both students and parents are. I looked at the Arizona Department of Health website today just to see where we are. On April 27th, we had 416 new cases, and today was our highest day of death. So far today, 33 deaths have been reported. That may not be an accurate number. It may take a few more days to get a more accurate number. Today we had 350 new cases. We've been trying to stay home and keep people from getting sick by staying home. We had 446 cases on April 30th. So we are actually going down a little bit. And I understand the governor is anxious to reopen things. However, both Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Deborah Birx have stated that it's probably early to open things. The fact is that we have a very contagious virus, more contagious than the flu, and it's can be very severe and deadly, more deadly than the flu. And even some of the younger people that get this, even those who are asymptomatic, have had strokes and neurological problems. So I think we're talking about something that's really serious. And as much as I want to have be able to see a graduation, social distancing is for those times when we absolutely have to go out. I'm concerned that something we do as a district not be the impetus of spreading this virus further. So I think we have to also think about our staff. I know students are more likely to not have it as severely, but we have to think about staff members who would also be involved if we did something later, like in June. I'm wondering, and I would want Dr. McCord to check on this, would there be a liability if someone chose to come to this optional graduation and became ill later? I think we need to check into that. And I do want to remind us that even though this hasn't been with us very long. Just for the months of March and April, there are 70,000 grieving American families. So I think we have to take the fact that that we're living in a new age. My understanding is that until we have a vaccine and have that immunity, that we may, it might be go out for a little while, shelter back in place. And so I think the idea of, maybe we'll be able to do something in June. We still have the same challenges in June that we have today. And I'm not sure that it's the best option to choose to have something on the field with, even if we keep people 6 feet apart. So those are my thoughts. I understand how difficult this is for parents, but I think we want to think about what is safe for everyone, including students and staff.
I think it's important to state that Governor Ducey did not say we can gather in large groups. He relaxed some things as it relates to restaurants and hair salons and even retail. But I watch those press conferences every time they come on, and the order is still stay healthy, stay safe, stay connected. And so I have a feeling that's going to be relaxed a little bit over the next couple weeks, and that's just me guessing. But if I'm understanding some things as I read between the lines as we move forward, I could see some of that happening. So it might be in our best interest to plan for the best, hope for the best, and then if something doesn't happen, then we're not able to go through with it. But the last thing I want to do is continue to disappoint our 2020 graduates, as I know all of you feel the same way. But if there's a possibility that we can gather at some point in time in the very near future, I think we should be looking down that road.
Weigh in. I would concur with your assessment, Dr. McCord, and that is in the eventuality, because this is so fluid, that we should plan for the possibility, and with the caveat that it can and will be canceled at a moment's notice if it isn't viable to do. With relationship to liability, I know that you will check with legal counsel that since it is optional and voluntary, that anyone who decides that that isn't available would sign a waiver of some sort, absolving the district of any liability related to that. Now, that's a difficult one to answer, but I think it's, again, being proactive is important. But we have plans in place for something that is very certain with our virtual graduation, and to proceed with the possibility that things will become opportune for our students, and be ready if something happens is not necessarily a bad thing to do.
Dr. Santa Cruz, can I say one more thing, please?
Absolutely.
As you know, I've been doing this a little bit even longer than you. And in my 49 years in education, I think this is probably the most agonizing decision I've ever had to make or be a part of. And I want our community and our seniors that have worked so hard to know that we recognize all of the work that they've done, but this is out of our control. And I would just like to say thank you to Dr. McCord and the cabinet. I think you have done an amazing job of trying to find something that's an alternative. And I really appreciate it. I appreciate the input from our parents. And I hope that there's a way that we can make both things work. But I think, like everybody else has said, it's day by day. It's actually hour by hour. So, it's a no-win situation, and it's a sad situation. And, we can only try to be safe and do the best, because our seniors that are graduating this year are our future in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Ujetti. And as the days pass, the local and national media will begin to broadcast and share stories of all kinds of innovative plans that districts across the country and across the state have implemented to honor the graduates of the class of 2020. Will only serve to create the anxiety in our district among our parents and our students. And we would like for our students and our parents to know that we see those stories too. We hear their concerns, and we share the anxiety and the angst that goes along with viewing any of those stories. Dr. McCord?
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. I'd just like to thank Marcy Taylor for all the hard work. She's running around here making sure VX3 is taken care of and all of our students are taken care of. A huge shout out goes to our principals in all of the fine detail planning and communicating they're doing with our students and our families. This is, again, like you've all said, an interesting time, a trying time, and we're out there doing something that I think no one's ever attempted before, and I just want to make sure that everybody here had an understanding of what we were doing, how we were doing it, and what the future may look like if we're able to gather by the beginning of June.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. Board members, any additional comment, question? If not, we have reviewed all three of our work study items, and we will adjourn this portion of the meeting. We'll move into item 4, which is a brief board business meeting. And we will ask Mrs. Wilson to go ahead and call the roll again.
Ms. Laurie Wood?
Here.
Mr. Reed Carr?
I am still here.
Ms. Ujetti?
Here too.
Ms. Humphries?
Here.
Dr. Santa Cruz?
And I'm still here.
Mr. President, all board members are present. You have a quorum.
So we call the meeting to order, and we're at item 5 and 5.01. Appreciation Week proclamation. Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. As you know, this is Teacher Appreciation Week, and we want to make sure that our certified staff, our teachers, know that we care about them and we want to dedicate this week to them. And so it's actually Teacher Appreciation Day as well. So we have a proclamation that we would like to extend to our certified staff and our community. And Dr. Santa Cruz, would you like to read this, or would you like me to read this?
I'll defer to you, Dr. McCord.
Thank you. Here's a proclamation. Whereas teachers make public schools great, and whereas teachers work to open students' minds to ideas, knowledge, and dreams, and whereas teachers keep American democracy alive by laying the foundation for good citizenship, and whereas teachers fill many roles as listeners, explorers, role models, motivators, mentors, and whereas teachers continue to influence us long after our school days are only memories. Therefore, the governing board and superintendent of Gilbert Public Schools do hereby proclaim Teacher Appreciation Week, May 4th through 8th, and May 5th, today, as National Teacher Day.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. And we congratulate our teachers. You are our heroes in this very, very difficult time period. Board members, anything to add?
I'd like to add something, Dr. Santa Cruz.
Go right ahead.
I think that our teachers have done an outstanding, exceptional, amazing job under these very trying circumstances. And I've heard so many positive comments from parents about how the teachers have gone out of their way. And, having to learn how to teach over the internet in just such a short time is just unbelievable. And the connections that they've still been able to keep with their children is so meaningful. And so I think every year for the last 49, I've been appreciative of teachers, probably longer than that. But I think this year more than any, we really need to applaud what our teachers have done because they have been just truly amazing.
Thank you, Ms. Ugetti. Any other board members?
Chime in and just to echo the comments that have been made. I have been very pleased and appreciative of how many people have made comments about how this situation we're in right now has made them appreciate more than ever what teachers do. I think we have a community that has always appreciated its teachers, but I think that appreciation level is at the highest it's ever been. And I would just like to say to every teacher, thank you for what you do, and thank you for your service. Thank you for the way you serve families and our children.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Ms. Humphries and Ms. Wood?
Yes, I'd be happy to add to that. I really, really appreciate all that our teachers have done. And I really appreciate the fact that we already had technology in place to help them, but I know they've had to learn a lot, even in the last few weeks, to be able to carry on with the online learning. So hopefully we'll get to plan and open schools in August and be back in the classroom, maybe under some little different circumstances, but I know that both teachers and students are really looking forward to that.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries.
Yeah, just add to what everyone has said, that how appreciative I am of the teachers for the way they care for our students, the way that they motivate and inspire them, and for the way that they're trying to learn and grow and improve always in what they do, because they want to give the best education that they can to each of our students. Just grateful for them, for the staffs and the principals as well that help them each day do their work.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. And so the proclamation is affirmed by this governing board on this Teacher Appreciation Day and this Teacher Appreciation Week. Move to item 5.02, National School Nurses Proclamation. Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board member. Today is National Teacher Day, but tomorrow is National School Nurse Day, May 6th. The theme this year, school nurses supporting students in times of crisis. The proclamation states, whereas students are the future and by investing in them today, we are ensuring our world for tomorrow. And whereas families deserve to feel confident that their children will be cared for when they are not at school. And whereas all students have a right to have their physical and mental health needs safely met while in the school setting. And whereas students today face more complex and life-threatening health problems requiring care in school. And whereas the COVID-19 pandemic has emphasized the essential role of school nurses play in student health and academic success. And whereas school nurses have served a critical role in improving public health and in ensuring students' academic success for more than 100 years. And whereas school nurses address the home and community factors, social detriment that impact student health. Whereas school nurses act as liaison to the school community, families, healthcare providers on behalf of the children's health by promoting wellness and improving health outcomes for our nation's children. And whereas school nurses support the health and educational success of children and youth by providing access to care when children's cognitive development is at its peak. And whereas school nurses are members of the school-based teams to address the school population. And whereas school nurses understand the link between health and learning and are in a position to make positive differences for children every single day. Therefore, be it resolved that the National Association of School Nurses celebrates and acknowledges the accomplishments of school nurses everywhere and their efforts of meeting the needs of today's students by improving the delivery of healthcare in our schools, and offer gratitude for the nation's school nurses who contribute to our local communities by helping students stay healthy in school, ready to learn, keeping parents and guardians at work, not just on the National School Nurse Day, but every opportunity throughout the year. Therefore, the Governing Board and Superintendent of Gilbert Public Schools do hereby proclaim May 6th as School Nurse Day.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. And echoing the sentiment, school nurses, especially in this day and age, COVID-19 notwithstanding, but even dealing with young students, trauma of all types, and to them and to school staffs as well, you are very much appreciated, and we wish you well on Nurses Appreciation Day, which is May 6th. Board members, anything to say?
Dr. Santa Cruz, I just want to echo that. I really think nurses are important, and it's not just Band-Aids and Tylenol. We have a lot of students with very complicated health issues, and they are there to take care of them and make sure they get their needs met. And as well as our staff, if something would happen with a staff member. So they are very important in our schools.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries.
Dr. Santa Cruz, I would like to echo that. And I think that everything that was in the proclamation is so true. And I think that probably we're going to be more appreciative of them in the months to come.
Thank you, Ms. Ujetti. Ms. Wood?
Yes, Dr. Santa Cruz, thank you. I just want to thank our school nurses for the valuable work that you do each day. And I'm thankful that we have many school nurses at our campuses, that we've been able to keep them. They've been an integral part of success of our students. And I'm glad that we can have those qualified nurses at our campuses.
Thank you, Ms. Wood. Mr. Carr?
I would echo the sentiment that's been expressed, and I think as Ms. Wood just commented, I was going to say the same thing. We hope that our school nurses know how much we appreciate them. I think this board has gone to great lengths to make sure that we keep nurses, even when many other districts have had to pare back and pursue other alternatives. We hope that sends a message to our nurses how much we value them, but we also personally say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. And so the resolution is affirmed, and this governing board extends its appreciation to nurses and our healthcare workers in our schools. Dr. McCord, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, if not, we will move to item 6, which is the consent agenda items. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Ms. Humphries. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Ms. Ujetti and Mr. Carr. We have a motion and a second. Is there a seeing and hearing none? Then we will move to the vote. Those who affirm will say yea, and those who deny will say nay. And Ms. Wilson, would you please poll the board?
Ms. Wood? Mr. Carr?
Aye.
Ms. Ugeti?
Aye.
Ms. Humphries?
Aye.
Dr. Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mr. President, motion carries. You have 5 ayes.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. We'll now move to action item 7.01, student devices. Dr. McCord.
Thank you, Dr. Santa Cruz, governing board members. Item 7.01, student devices for fiscal year 2021. It is recommended that RWQ 20-122 Chromebooks, student devices for fiscal year 2021, be awarded to the following responsible and responsive vendors: CDW Government LLC. Technology Services is seeking to purchase Chromebooks for student use in the upcoming fiscal year. The district intends to purchase approximately 7,000 Chromebooks, as well as associated provisioning, asset tagging, and extended warranties. 4 vendors responded with pricing to the Chromebooks, associated services, and the extended warranties. All 4 vendors were considered responsive and responsible. Technology Services, in conjunction with Purchasing Department, requests the approval of the utilization of the Mojave Purchase Contract 15I-CDWG-1002 for the purchase of Chromebooks for students' use, including associated services and 4-year extended warranties for each Chromebook from CDW Government LLC. The contract will be in effect for 1 year, with the implementation beginning upon award. The approximate cost is $2,323,741, and that will be coming from Fund 631 out of funds. We have Mr. Castellano here if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. McCord. Governing board members, item 7.01 is before you. You have heard the rationale. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Mrs. Humphries, is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ugeti. There is a motion and a second. Is there a discussion on item 7.01?
I did have a couple questions for Mr. Castellano. What grade levels are we giving these Chromebooks to? I know that 7th grade, definitely students are receiving a new Chromebook. What other grade usually receives a new Chromebook?
Dr. Santa Cruz, members of the board, Dr. McCord, yes, good question, Jill. Thank you all for hanging in there earlier for a little blip. Appreciate everyone's patience with that. This will be for our incoming 9th graders as well as our 7th grade. So our refresh at this point, how we've timed that is that incoming freshmen get a new device, and then they keep that device throughout the remainder of their high school career. And then at the junior high, we rotate the devices around for 4 years before we replace them. So this year is actually a year where we're replacing the 7th grade devices.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other comments, questions, board members?
Yes, Dr. Santa Cruz, if I may.
Go ahead, Ms. Wood.
Mr. Castellano, I was going to ask you, so are these updated in any way from the current Chromebooks that we have, or is it similar to what we've been purchasing in the past?
They're pretty similar. They have newer processors. Obviously, those change every year, so this has newer processors in them. And this year, we're actually going to change brands to a different device. So every year, we spend a lot of time discussing that, and we talk with the students and whatnot to see if there's anything different they would want. But we're going to stick with, it's a very similar device, but it is a different brand. Some of the reasonings for that is availability of parts, more accessible. And we also have our, last year, if you remember, we started for an outside service that's repairing these devices. So they also work with this brand as well. So that's why we've chosen to switch brands.
And which brand is it?
These will be Dell devices.
Okay, but they'll be similar size and similar functions.
Yeah, almost exactly the same form factor. We hope a little sturdier.
Great. Let's see. I also was going to ask about the bond. Oh, you know what? Let me just ask one more thing. So will they work seamlessly? So some students will continue with their Chromebooks, and then these others now will have Dell. It should be seamless in all the, the Google Classrooms and all the things that we operate with. Will just stay the same.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a Chrome operating system on the devices, so exactly the same.
Okay. So this is from the bond fund, and this was the 2015 bond, right?
Yeah, correct.
And we had in there, as part of the technology that we had delineated as we went out for that bond, was to go for things like this.
Yeah, absolutely. It follows the letter of what that bond was passed for.
We're getting toward the end of that technology bond, or that money that we had toward technology spending in that bond, aren't we?
Yeah, getting close.
Okay. So what's our plan for the future? Because we're going to need to continue to refresh.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, we have a plan that's planned out another 5 to 7 years from now. Bonnie, I'm going to let Mrs. Betts jump in with that. Her and I have worked together, and she knows the plan that we have laid out for the refresh. But Mrs. Betts, I'll let you answer that piece of it, if you will.
Oh, you bet. Thanks, John. So, Ms. Wood, one of the reasons why we put off that last $8 million of bond spend on the 2015 bond was to be able to continue the commitments that we've made with the refreshes over the next 3 years. So we waited another year and a half to sell that last $8 million, which about $3 million is designated for technology. So we are monitoring that and ensuring that we are meeting the commitments and the refresh cycle that was planned back in 2015.
Okay.
I have a question about the warranty. If we have a warranty, if we're buying extended warranty for these Chromebooks, will that mean that they will be repaired under the warranty by the company, or how does that work?
Yeah, great question. So yes, that's exactly what it means. These devices will have a 4-year warranty on them, so it will cover the life of what they're expected to cover. And then we always still cycle these down to our elementary schools. So the current senior devices and the current 7th grade devices that will be refreshed, we'll be able to get another year of use out of those at our elementary sites. So that helps us refresh at the elementary sites, at least for that extended amount of time that we can get out of the life of the devices.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Board members, any other questions?
Ms. Woods asked the question that I always ask: what's our long-term plan? I think as was commented earlier in the meeting, the availability of this technology allowed our district to come up to speed very quickly and to do some things that some of our neighboring districts haven't done. So it's been a real blessing that it's in place. To Ms. Wood's question, and that has been responded, the long-term plan is really important. So that's so that we don't take something away in the future that we get used to.
Thank you, Mr. Carter. Point well made. Any additional commentary? Any additional questions? Hearing and seeing none, then we will go ahead and vote. And those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed by saying nay. Mrs. Wilson, would you please poll the board?
Ms. Wood,
Aye.
Mr. Carr,
Aye.
Ms. Uggetti,
Aye.
Ms. Humphries,
Aye.
Dr. Santa Cruz.
Aye.
Mr. President, motion carries 5 ayes.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilson. Okay, we are now at item 8, adjourning this brief board meeting. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Moved.
Thank you, Ms. Uggetti. Mr. Carr, were you about to say something?
I was about to make the motion, but I will instead second.
Thank you. I suspect there is no discussion. With that in mind, we will take a voice vote without polling the board. All those in favor of adjournment, please signify by saying aye.
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 I hear 5 ayes. We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Have a safe night.
You too. Thank you. Thanks, staff. Good night, board members.
Night, everyone.